Okay, so this is our beginner's hip workout. So if you just want to do the hips, you don't want to bother about anything else, you want to get a bit of movement in those hips, this is the little 10-minute section, okay? So to start with, hopefully you've done your warm-up. We're going to come onto our hands and knees. Okay, just make sure your wrists are underneath the shoulders and your knees directly underneath those hips. And you've about a fist width between your knees, okay? So don't let the knees knock together. So just to get into our position, I find this is the easiest way. So we're going to push the spine up. So we've got a nice bend in the back. We've dropped the head. And then we release that and go the other way. So head goes up, bum goes out. So it gives you a nice stretch in the back as well before we go into the move. And then from this position, we just lift the back somewhere between the two exaggerated moves, okay? So we're looking for a straight back here. So our tummy is held in 50-60%. We're going to start off by just sliding one foot out, bring it back in, and we're going to stay on the same leg. We're going out, back in, out, back in. Now, if it's too hard on your wrist, you can always go up onto the knuckles here. If you get a little bits of pain in the knuckles, in the wrists rather. Okay, so just slide out, same leg each time. And then we're going to add a lift on the next one. So we slide out, lift, lower and back in. Slide out, lift, lower, back in. So the head position. Just make sure you're just gazing between the two hands, okay? Your head hasn't gone up. We're not looking up forward. We're not looking down. We haven't dropped the head, okay? We're just gazing between the hands. So the idea is to keep the spine all the way from the crown of the head down to that tailbone as straight as we can. Okay, if you're okay with this, we're going to add the arm. So opposite arm slides out. So keep in contact with the floor to start with. Lift, lower, slide back in. Slide. Foot and opposite leg. Oh, sorry. Foot and opposite hand. Slide out. Lift, lower, back in. So keep your tummy held in. We've got lots of control to have here. And last one, we're going to slide out, lift, and we're going to hold it here. So get the tummy nice and tight. Keep the breath going. 3, 2, 1, and lower. Let's sit back on our heels. So we're pushing back. If you have osteoporosis, just make sure you keep your head up. If not, you can always drop down and get a full stretch through that back. Okay, we're going to go back up for the other side. So back up, and we do the same on the other side. Out and back in. So keep in contact with the floor. Slide. Slide. Make sure you've got a bit of space between the knees. Gazing between the hands. Back is nice and straight. Let's add the lift. So slide out, lift, lower, back in. And we're not looking to get too high, okay? We're just keeping that leg straight. Okay, next one, we're going to add the arm. So opposite arm slides out, lift, lower, back in. Take your time here when you lift everything off the floor because you become unbalanced, unstable, and we just need to keep it nice and slow so that we have control over the body. Last two. Last one, we're going to hold it. So slide out, lift, and hold it here. So really try and stretch through your fingers, through the toes. 3, 2, 1, and lower. Let's sit back on our heels, stretch through them arms. Osteoporosis. Keep your head up. Okay, we're going to go over onto our side. Okay, don't forget these are all hip moves, so we're cutting out all the ab stuff. We're going to come all the way down. Straighten out our legs, okay? Rest your head on that arm. If you need to, you can double up the arm, okay? Because we're not working on balance here, we're working on the hip joint. So, nice and straight line between the feet, the hips and the shoulders. Tummy is held in. We're going to lift the top leg up to hip height and then lower it back down. So lift and lower, lift and lower. So you can use this hand here, because as I said, we're not working on the balance. We're working on that hip joint. So this side out here is working to lift and lower that leg. So we're not going too high. We're not flinging the leg up in the air. We're just going up to hip height and back down. Last two. Last one. We're going to lift that leg up. We're going to hold it here. On the next little part of the move, we're going to lift the bottom leg to meet it and lower back down. So top leg staying where it is. Bottom leg lifting, lowering, lifting, lowering. If this is too difficult, drop the bottom leg and go back to the lift and lower with the top leg, okay? So two sides of the hips working here. And 3, 2, last one, and lower those two legs. We're going to hug in the knees. Okay, so from this position, we're just going to do a quick stretch for the hip, okay? So what I want you to do is, you're going to keep those knees bent up here, lift your top leg up to hip height, so lift the whole leg up. It's going to stretch out. You're going to bring it behind you. Top arm is going to go up over the head, and you're going to bring that in front of you. So from this position, you're going to slowly start lowering. The ball is in the way. Start lowering that foot behind you down towards the floor. Lower it, that's it. And you're trying to stretch right through those fingers. So it's kind of a double stretch here. Stretching out the arm gives you a nice stretch down the side of the body. Dropping that foot behind you gives you a nice stretch there in the side, the hip, the IT band, so that runs down the side of the leg. Keep reaching. 3, 2, 1, and release. Okay, we can bring everything back up. Okay, so our last little one on the side is our clam. We'll just do a little bit here, okay? So just make sure your feet are in line with your hips. We're going to keep our feet on the floor and we're going to separate the knees, lift and lower. Lift and lower. So the important things to remember here are keeping the pelvis nice and still, okay? So we don't want to be doing this move where we're rocking forward and back. We're keeping that pelvis nice and still and just separating the knees. That should be the only thing that's happening. Last two. Last one, and lower. Now we're going to keep our knees together and separate the ankles. So moving that hip in the opposite direction. When we do this move in our clam, we're specifically targeting that joint. So try and lift as high as you can. 3, 2, 1, and lower. Now we're going to alternate the two. So once you get your feet together, separate the knees, and then knees together, separate the ankles. So we're switching between the two moves. We're going knees and ankles, knees and ankles. Okay, we're going to speed it up a little bit. Let's get those hips really working hard. So speed it up as much as you can. 3, 2, 1, and lower. Whew. Stretch out those legs. Okay, we're going to go onto our tummy from here and just do a nice little mobility exercise for those hips, okay? So rest your head on your arms and get your two legs together. From here, you're just going to keep in contact with the floor. We're just going to slide one leg out, bring it back in, and we're going to stay on the same side. Out and back in. Out, back in, out, back in. So try and get out as much as you can, out to the side, but you're trying to get not too much movement through the back. Last two. Last one, and back to the center. Same on the other side. Out, back in, out, and back in. So nice mobility through that hip. And 3, 2, 1, and back together with the feet. Okay, let's sit back on our heels, stretch. This time we're going to open up the knees nice and wide, sit back, and we just try and drop the chest down between the legs. Okay, from here we'll go over to our other side. So straighten out those two legs. Okay, you can use the top hand on the floor. Nice straight line between the feet, the hips and the shoulders. We have our tummy held in. We're going to lift the top leg up to hip height and lower it back down. So as I said, not too high. Last two. Last one. Hold it here. Now your bottom leg comes up to meet it and lowers back down. Lift and lower. But leave the bottom leg down if you need to and just do a lift and lower with that top leg. So there's always an alternative. Rather than stopping altogether and thinking, oh God, I can't do this. Just get that bottom leg down and just go with the top leg, okay? Doesn't have to be anything pressurized, okay? And 3, 2, 1, and lower those legs. We're going to hug in the knees. Okay, we're going to go on to our stretch through the hip. So knees stay bent, top leg lifts up, stretch it out, bring it behind you. Top arm goes up over the head and comes in front of you, in front of the face. And then try and lower that foot slowly, slowly down towards the floor. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, oh God, where the hell is the floor God? It takes a little while to get there. We're going to stretch right through them fingers. Try and stretch through the toes a little bit more. 3, 2, 1, and release. Okay, bend up the knees. We're going to straight into our clam. So feet are in line with our hips. So the best way to get into that is to either your backside is on the back edge of the mat and your feet are on the back edge, okay? So you can adjust forward and back. Or you can lift your feet up, have a look over your hips. They should be in line with each other, okay? We're going to keep the feet down, keep our pelvis nice and still, separate those knees, lift and lower. So no rocking back through that pelvis. And you probably have one side that you can get a little bit wider than the other with the legs. One side might be a little bit more tight. Last two. Last one. And lower. Okay, let's keep the knees together. We're going to separate those ankles. Lift and lower. So working on that hip joint, you can really feel the hip moving there. If you put your hand on the hip, you can feel it. And think about that ball and socket. 3, 2, 1, and lower. Now we alternate the two. So let's keep the feet together, separate the knees, and then switch. Knees together, separate the ankles. Switch and switch. Switch and switch. Knees, ankles, knees, ankles. Let's speed it up a bit. Knees, ankles, knees, ankles. A little bit faster. 3, 2, 1, and lower. Let's stretch out those legs. Okay, from here we're going to go over onto our back. So I've got a nice mobility exercise for you for the hips, okay? So your feet are flat on the floor, knees are up. And I just want you to find your neutral position with the spine, okay? So maybe you want to push the spine into the mat and then release it. Push it in and release. And now you're just going to find somewhere between the two moves. So pelvis is nice and level, okay? We're going to get one leg up to our tabletop position. From this position, all you're going to do is you're going to go out with that leg. It's going to make a circle through the knee, okay? Circling out, back in. And the points to remember are just keep the pelvis nice and still and have your tummy held in. We're going out and back in. You can always put your hand on the knee if you need to guide it round, give it a little bit of support. We're going to go 2 more in this direction. Last one, back to the center, and then we go the other way. Out, back in, out, back in. Last 2, last 1, and lower. Okay, same on the other side. Up to tabletop first, tummy held in, keep the pelvis still. We're going out and back in. So not too fast here. Take it with the breath, so breath in and out for 1 circle. And again, think about that hip joint, okay? Rotating in the socket. So it's like a little cup, and you've got a ball in the cup, and it's moving around as much as it can. Keep the pelvis still. We're going to go 1 more here, and then switch directions. Let's go the other way. And 3, 2, 1, and lower. So I'll leave you to feel free to do a straight leg as well if you want. So straight leg goes up and you're going around. So it's exactly the same, except we don't have as much control because that leg is straight and it's a little bit heavier. Okay, and that's your little hips worked out. There's a cool down, another little video for a cool down so that's got a few hip stretches in it. So have a go at those if you need them.